But yeah, I mean, we could use Hopkins or Hopkins. Yeah.
Hopscotch? What are we talking about here, dude?
I'm so bad with names. Yeah. So Hoskins, we should keep him.
Hopkins.
Yeah,
Did you just say Hopkins?
Hey, you struck it out over there,
Wait,
bro.
it is Hopkins.
It's Hopkins.
Hopkins. Are you sure? All right.
This guy, dude.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, pros. Let's go.
Y'all crazy.
Let's go.
All right. Let's go.
All right. Well, what we're going to do is talk about, obviously we're in the off season, unfortunately, but we got to think about the guys that were on our team for 2021. I mean, it's crazy to look at the amount of players that we have that are pending free agents going into the new year, or into 2022. We have 28 players basically that are free agents. I mean, it's pretty incredible to think about. Mind you, there's a mix of, I mean, the undrafted free agents are, I mean, we got a massive list to look at, but we have some restricted free agents such as like Ty Long. We have some exclusive right free agents such as Storm Norton, Donald Parham, Jalen Guyton being one of them. And then we have like Joe Reed, who's already basically under a contract too, and Andrew Brown too, which, I didn't really notice him much on the team. He probably played a little bit more into the Texans game of whatnot, but either which way, we got a lot of work to do this offseason, to kind of figure out who's going to be who. And, when I go into this offseason, it's the most critical offseason for us.
Yeah.
It sets us up for the next couple years at least, because we have a big pending, which I don't know what we're going to be looking at with the Justin Herbert contract when that comes up. And I can't expect a hometown discount by any means.
Yeah.
When you guys get Mahomes based $500 million 10-year based contracts.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I don't know what to say and what we're going to expect on this, but this is critical time for the Chargers to be able to make sure we are a championship based team.
Yeah.
On a rookie based contract for Herbert. So
yeah, absolutely.
This is crazy to look at. So I guess for you guys, what is your guys' thoughts going into this off season, I should say, and kind of see where we should kind of go with what's kind of the things with these free agents that you guys look at that think, hey, maybe this is a good choice, or maybe this is a guy we shouldn't go with. I guess, what are your guys' thoughts on this list?
Yeah, my general thoughts are that, we got a lot of people that we need to keep. Like, a lot of people are talking about Mike Williams, right?
Yeah.
Is he worth coming, bringing back? And I mean, he absolutely is, in my opinion. And, and even just the cohesiveness that he has with Justin Herbert, you can't let him go. But then you see someone like a Linville Joseph or a Chris Harris, and I look at those two and go, Linville Joseph is good, but I think he would have been better if he had another disruptor on the line. And it was clear to me that Tillery, Covington, that whole group did not do that with Linville Joseph. They just double teamed Joseph, and that was it. And so they didn't have any disruptor beyond that. And Bosa is more of a finesse type of rusher. So so it'd be interesting if you can get another Linville Joseph, you can somehow clone him and get another guy. Life would be good, right? But we don't have that. So but again, just taking a look at just your top three here. Chris Harris, I don't know if he's worth $9 million or 8.5.
Unfortunately,
I think he got burned a lot, especially in that Raiders game. He did not play consistent.
Yeah.
So that's just some of my initial thoughts.
Yeah.
What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, going off of what Tom Telesco kind of just said on this 1 hour press conference.
Everyone should watch that too, by the way. That was fantastic.
It's really good.
Great conference.
Yeah, he basically said, is like, we're not going to have the same team at all next year at all. There's like, we're looking at not just one side, but we're looking at all sides, and just got to make sure things that work. And there was definitely a lot of talk about Mike Williams. I would love for him to return for the team, because having him and Keenan Allen like on our wide receivers core, whatever, it's pretty clutch. However, I mean, we might be able to keep him at a discount because, I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of production for us for the past couple of years. But then I think that was also because of our, what was it? Our schemes, our offensive schemes were not really pass heavy in the past. You know, like, and then he had a couple of years with Phillip Rivers. Now he has with Justin Herbert. So, like, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, if we could keep him, like, we would still want to keep him at a discount as somehow, some way. But I don't know if he's going to be down for that, though. You know, I mean, he's fourth year or something like that. It's like his second, or what I understand is that second contracts for players are usually the biggest ones because that's kind of what, like, their prime. So, I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, I do at the same time, I feel like Palmer, he stepped up a lot. He could be that outside guy for wide receiver core as well. So it really just kind of comes down to is like, I mean, do we really need Mike Williams now? I want to say I'm leaning towards yes, but also, like, it's a money thing, you know?
And we got what, $70 million in money available, right?
Yeah, something like that. It's kind of a crazy amount, and it's funny because, like, there's currently they say 68 million. I think it's going to be upwards in the 80 millions. Mind you, there's going to be cuts involved, which you know, I'll kind of talk a little bit about some of those. But it's a tough situation with Mike Williams, and I mean, if you want to kind of go right into kind of what Mike Williams kind of is projected based upon what I'm seeing on some estimates, they're saying it's a 4-year, $68 million base contract. Now, mind you, 68 million is not necessarily like, hey, that's 68 million of that 80 million that we have or whatever it is. It could be obviously spread over years and bonuses and all these different things and all that count towards the cap. But, you know, you start thinking about that because now you start thinking of, you know, Devontae Adams potentially being out there. You start thinking about, and I've been a big fan of Allen Robinson over at the Chicago Bears, and he's been a pretty productive guy out there that you could possibly get for like cheaper than that. Can be kind of that kind of similar Mike Williams kind of guy. I mean, you could even think, and one person that's not been talked about a lot is Michael Thomas over at the Saints. I mean, he kind of doesn't want to play for the Saints from what it seems like. And, you know, there's a camaraderie there with Joe Lombardi too. You know, there's a connection there. So you start thinking a little bit about that. And then even to have, you know, with Palmer, you know, being drafted in the production he produced. I mean, is he a 2? Is he a 1? We don't really know, but like, you start thinking a little bit about that, hey, we do have a rookie out there. We could even look in the draft again if we at the 17th pick and think, we could grab maybe another wide receiver if we wanted to, which I don't think that's the right choice, but there's a lot of ways that you look at this. And once again, going back to the next 2 or 3 years are critical for the team to be set up as a championship team. And so do we want a 4-year contract with Mike Williams? Who knows?
Well, it could also be incentive based too, like the Pats do all the time, right? Hey, look, you know, you're going to make $4 million guaranteed, but you can double that with incentives, right? With touchdowns, yards gained, and such. My biggest problem with Mike Williams is his injuries, right? He's had so many injuries, and I mean, look, great example. Brian Bulaga is a great example, right? I mean, in 2 years, the man hadn't even hardly played any games, right? And he's never got better. The one thing I thought about this morning when I thought about this too was it's interesting how many of the Charger players stayed healthy this year.
It's
I
crazy.
asked myself this question: why did that happen? I think a big part of it is the way Brandon Staley uses his players. He tries to keep his players pretty healthy into the fourth quarter.
I can see that.
But if they're hurt at all, he sits them. I mean, perfect example. Look at what happened to Donald Parham. He didn't come back after that head injury the rest of the season. Done. And you know, that sucked because we needed him. I mean, he's such a weapon.
We needed him out there.
But he's not going to push his players to run through injuries. And again, he also had Derwin James out, his hamstring injuries. I mean, there was a lot of people he was resting, but he didn't want to, you know, making season-ending injuries.
Yeah.
Well, and Asante Samuel Jr. was the same thing too. He had concussion issues, kept him out for a couple games. Joey Bosa mid-game decisions kept him out just because he got a concussion. You know, and to be honest, we as Charger fans, we always think we have this great team coming into the season, and then the injury bug happens.
Yeah,
and it throws everything off.
Hard. Hard.
And that's the thing that I do appreciate, and it kind of sucks to think for us as a fan sometimes, where it's like, oh, you got to leave this guy out because of this reason. I mean, the thing is, though, Brandon Staley did a pretty good job to be able to just get to 9-8. And I mean, personally, I think we're more of a 11-team win, and there was a couple games that we probably should have won, but we didn't. But I think he did a good job to make sure we're healthy throughout. Even going into that Raider game, we were healthy throughout, but lost, which is a frustrating side of it.
Yep.
Well, and you got to have depth, especially in this league, right? You know, and then especially with COVID, right? The game against the Texans, I think it was pretty much a practice squad defense out there.
Yeah.
And I remember how frustrating that game was. And I remember Brandon Staley at his press conference afterwards was like, we didn't do anything right on the offense or the defensive side of the ball. We did literally nothing right. And to some degree, it's the truth, right? So I also asked myself this question: how much depth do we need? Right? I think we need more depth, and it goes back to the conversation around special teams. This year specifically, we played a lot of rookie and special teams, but some of these guys, you want to sign them up so they can be helping us out on the special team side of the ball as well too, because I think that matters.
Absolutely.
You know.
Well, and that brings up one of the guys on the list too. That's a free agent. Is Ryan Smith, I believe.
He's the gunner.
Yeah, he was the gunner, and he got injured. He only played 4.6% of time on field because he has injury issues. So that wasn't a whole heck of a lot of time on the field. No. But it's interesting because I think it might have been Staley, or I think it might have been Telesco that talked a little bit about him. But you know, saying that, hey, he's kind of a guy that was great when he was on the field, and you know, I think that could be one of those re-sign depth situations. And you know, and there's a lot of guys out there like a Kyler Fackrell. I mean, he played 32.8%. I think he was relatively effective. I mean, $1.5 million.
I think, wasn't he a late pickup though? Like Kyler Fackrell? I think he only got picked up for like the last 4 games or something.
No. He came into the offseason. Yeah, he was off-season pickup.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so he was there. So, I mean, he was an effective guy. I put him as like a tier 2 kind of guy, depth situation for us.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that he could be one of those, you know, cheap signs for build depth, because I think he was effective in the defense and he has a year under his belt with that. Andre Roberts is another guy too. Yeah, plays special teams too.
Okay. Yeah.
Andre Roberts
also is a wide receiver too, right? Yeah. So it's interesting. You could use him in a couple of different ways. I asked myself this question: do we want Dustin Hopkins back and Chase Daniel? I look at those two. I think they're important, right? It's good to have a veteran kicker specifically, right? I think Dustin Hopkins did well, but you know, we still have Tristan Vizcaino, and so what are we going to do with that, right? I think he's probably going to get a shot the offseason, and they'll probably have a little shootout or kickoff.
They're definitely gonna, I think really the Chargers, they believe that Vizcaino is their guy. He just needs to get his head right or something like that, you know. But yeah, I mean, we could use Hopkins. Yeah.
Hopscotch? What are we talking about here, dude?
I'm so bad with names. You know. Yeah. So Hoskins, we should keep him.
Hopkins. Did you just say Hopkins?
Hey, you struck it out over there, bro.
It is Hopkins.
Hopkins.
Hopkins. Are you sure? All right.
This guy, dude.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that we do need veterans like there to help like the younger guys. You know, like I mean that's really what Chase Daniels is there for. Like as a QB2, he's not really like they don't intend to ever put him on the field really. Maybe just to do the victory formation or whatever. But but yeah, like I mean, they're there to help like the younger guys, like and to kind of make choices and like maybe do the audibles and stuff like that. So yeah.
You know, and it's an interesting thing, like, and that's the thing that we need to have veterans behind our team. And I think I remember seeing that our team is like average age is like 25, 26 or something like
we're
that.
pretty young.
Pretty young as a team. We need those veteran guys. Hopkins is one of those guys. Chase Daniels is one of those guys. I mean, and it's weird to even say this, but Matt Overton is our long snapper. I mean, he's 37 years old. He's a veteran guy. I mean, Ty Long, 29. He's there too. You know, and I could dig in a little bit more on him specifically, but we need those veteran guys. I mean, Michael Schofield was another guy for the left guard that I think we have to sign again. And I liked him when he was with us a couple of years ago, and I thought he was effective. And he's a depth guy, but he could be a rotational guy if necessary.
Right.
But those are guys that we do need to kind of look at and to continue to grow on and keep within this team just for those veteran purposes. So I think going in and staying within that line too, and who basically Schofield took over, Ode Oboshi was our right guard there for a while, who ended up getting injured with the left or with his knee. I think that was against the Browns game, I believe it was.
I think it was.
Man, going into that game, I mean, I think we ended that at that point. I think that was the 5th game of the year. We were 4-1 at that point. And our line was stout during that time. And we all know where this right line went at that point. The right side of the line. I mean, Schofield held his own, but when O'Day was there, I think it was a different line. Obviously, Brian Bulaga. Once again, I'm saying that's going to be a $10 million added to our cap because he's probably going to get cut just because
he can't be
not producing.
Well,
you're not producing.
I feel like the same time is like, I mean, he's done playing at all entirely. You know, like there's like, I mean, he'll get cut and then we're not going to see him anywhere. I don't think any team would pick him up because they just know that he's just injury prone. You know?
You know, I mean, and the same side, there's probably going to a team that will actually sniff at him and probably say, "Hey, man, what about just a veteran minimum? See where he goes." Could be a high payoff to have something like that. Now, we know how that works with us here at the Chargers as fans, where all of a sudden we go from this guy can't stay healthy to all of a sudden he produces extremely well somewhere else. It's just what is our conditioning coaches suck or something like that? Like, what is the deal here? You know?
That's the story of to be told from every year of the Chargers. You know, someone goes out and like they leave us and then they just freaking light it up. You know,
dude, don't even get me started with our kickers, right? Koo, killing it, and then the Money Badger killing it for the Colts. And it's like, you got to be kidding me, right? But you know, again, they've got to shore that up, right? I think this guy knows the right guy. But he needs to work on some of these interesting things. One other thing I want to talk about was Storm Norton, right? You talk about Ode Oboshi, right? Storm Norton he stepped in, and boy, he was getting burned the first couple of games. Didn't he led the league? I think in I think he was the worst rated right tackle for a while.
He was one of the worst, and I mean, he was giving up the most quarterback pressures basically in the league there for a while, and he was getting crushed. And I mean, poor guy. I mean, he was out there, and I mean, during that Raider game, Max Crosby, I was on a field day with that guy. But you know, the thing is, though, he held his own for the moment, and I mean, we have an exclusive rights free agency with him. So, I mean, I think he was on the field, and I believe he was on the field for roughly close to 90% of the snaps. And mind you, that is a clear showing of how long Bulaga played for us. I mean, it literally was a short amount of time.
Right.
You know, Pipkins also played too, which this is where I kind of look at and think, well, Pipkins was a guy that's still under contract with us. You know, I think this is his 3rd year going into. He didn't really produce too well in the last couple of years, but for some reason, when he did play, he played pretty good. And I did look at some of his Pro Football Focus rankings. I mean, he was ranked in kind of a mid to high level as a right tackle.
Right.
And so I think bringing Storm Norton's back for depth purpose is great. You might want to look at Pipkins at that right tackle. Now, obviously, we could look at free agency. You could also look at adding a draft to the right tackle, but there's a little bit of decision making on that side. And I think if we could get that going, I mean, once again, I'm going to kind of focus on the guys that we have here with Storm Norton. I think we need him back for depth purposes.
Ode
Oboshi, I think he's about a 2-year, $3.5 million is just kind of my estimate kind of guy.
Agreed.
And I think that would be pretty good for him. And I think he would be good with that. But that right line, I think there's a lot of decision making that still needs to be made. And I mean, it's going to be an interesting thing on that side. Because, I mean, once again, there is a level to where Justin Herbert doesn't need the best line, but he needs a good line. And I think it's also protecting an investment for the future.
It's not just protecting that; it's also being able to run the ball, right? I mean,
exactly.
You know, I'll give you a great example. We're all LT fans. I was there at the game when LT broke the single season record.
Yeah,
I was there too.
I was with you.
We all there. Hey, you know what? Bolt Bros.
No, but LT specifically said I could have done it if it wasn't for my line, right? And that line is just, I mean, should be given an award just the same as LT got that award, right? So, I mean,
100%.
Bottom line, the line is extremely important. I mean, you win or lose the game in the line, right? In the trenches. And so if you don't have a nasty line, it's going to open holes and get some gaps to get to the next level and start really breaking out, run lanes for Eckler. It's going to be huge.
Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, share. Let us know what you guys would like to talk about. If you want to leave any comments or anything too, we'd love to be able to hear some from our fans out there and viewers. So
yeah, exactly.
So absolutely.
Bolt Bros, let's go.
Bolt Bros.
Bolt Bros. Let's
we
go.
out.